All right, good evening. I would like to call this Wednesday, June 10th, 2026 School Committee Business Meeting to order. Mrs. Yell, could you take the roll, please?
Mayor Reardon?
I'm here.
Present.
Brianna Higgins is not here. Kathleen Shaw?
Here.
Andrew Goldberg?
Here.
Lauren Aramore?
Here.
John Ricky?
Yes. Great. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll now turn the meeting over to Vice Chair Walker.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So our first item is for public comment. Is there anyone signed up for public comment? Or anyone who did not sign up for public comment but would like to speak? Okay, and we don't have anyone on our Zoom tonight. So we'll move on to the next item. We have staff retirement recognitions. Superintendent?
Thank you.
First of all, thank you all very much. We have some retirees in the audience today, but I just want to kind of go down the list of retirees throughout the district. So we have James Antonelli, Dean of Specialized Programs, 3 years in Newburyport, but 34 years in education. Katie Bartolini, Health Service Director, 3 years in Newburyport and 26 years in education. Brian Cale, custodian at the Bresnahan School, 11 years for Newburyport. Janice Cale, grade 3 teacher at the Bres, 25 years in Newburyport. Vicki Dyer, secretary at the high school, 10 years in Newburyport. Carrie Handler, instructional assistant, 11 years in Newburyport. The best name in the district, Johnny Hawks, custodian, 24 years in the district. I think that's the best name ever. Stephanie Karahalis, instructional assistant, 31 years in the public schools in Newburyport. Julie, we'll be honoring her very shortly. Julie Malchow, a special education teacher at the Bres, 14 years in Newburyport. Kathy Ryan, literacy Title I teacher at the Bres, 18 years in Newburyport. And Suzanne Simon, PK teacher, 20 years in Newburyport. So a round of applause for all our retirees. And I want to say a few words for our attendees that are in the audience today. And we'll first start with Vicki Dyer. So for over a decade, Vicki Dyer has been a familiar face in the Newburyport High School front office. Vicki truly embodies what it means to be the unsung hero of our school district. She was a steady anchor, navigating the high school chaos, especially with morning arrival and all those students that were late. She always did it with grace. Whether she was greeting visitors, helping students find their footing, answering endless questions from anxious families, or managing the countless behind-the-scenes details that keep a school running smoothly, she did it with professionalism and patience. Vicki added to the positive culture at the high school, turning a school building into a welcoming environment. To the central office and high school administrative teams, Vicki has been the ultimate team player. Her loyalty to Newburyport and her dedication is absolute. She's a team player who would do whatever Mr. Wolf and the administration asked of her, always putting the needs of the school, her colleagues, and the students first. Vicki just didn't work for our schools. She truly cared for them. Her selflessness, reliability, dedication, and kindness have left a lasting impression on all of us. Once again, we want to thank you for all of your years of service. Vicki, you'll be deeply missed by the entire Clipper family, and we wish you well in your retirement. So come on up. Photo op here.
Congratulations.
Here you go. Here's your certificate. Right over here. And the rule is you gotta put a certificate on your fridge. Congratulations. Oh, I have, Vicky, I'm sorry. We have presents, I almost forgot the most important.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, this is from all of us and.
Somebody knows me.
Yeah, maybe that woman over there donating out.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you all.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
very welcome. All right. All right, next, it's my honor to recognize Stephanie Carajalas for extraordinary 31 years of dedicated service in Newburyport Public Schools. 31 years represents more than longevity. It reflects on a lifelong commitment to the Newburyport Public Schools, to our families, and to the community. Throughout her career as an instructional assistant, Stephanie has been a champion for our students, especially those that needed the support the most. Her colleagues speak of Stephanie's patience and commitment and kindness that she gave to all of her students day in and day out. Beyond her invaluable daily work in the classroom, Stephanie also extended her leadership to our entire professional community by serving as the union president. In that role, she provided thoughtful leadership, strong advocacy for her fellow instructional assistants. Her wealth of experience and professionalism earned her the respect of everyone fortunate enough to work alongside her. Year after year, Stephanie brought her absolute best to the children in Newburyport, helping shape a positive environment where they could thrive. As Stephanie begins her well-deserved retirement, we offer her our deepest gratitude for her decades of service, her leadership, and the lasting difference that she has made on the Newburyport Public Schools. So on behalf of the entire Clipper family, congratulations, Stephanie, and our very best wishes for a happy, healthy, and fulfilling retirement. Stephanie Carajalas. I have a little gift for you, too. All right. Last but not least, in the audience today, I'm also honored to say a few words tonight about my friend and colleague, Jim Antonelli, who will be retiring at the end of this school year. And if you want to know the statistical measure of his impact, you can always pull up his impressive resume and read the glowing letters of recommendation in his file. But tonight, I'd like just to talk about the man behind all of those credentials. I've had the privilege of knowing Jim for close to 20 years. Our paths first crossed when we were both serving as high school principals and working together on the MIA Board of Directors. Over all these years, we've collaborated on countless initiatives, and Jim has always been the person that I and so many others rely on for sound, steady professional advice. Jim is one of the most caring, hardworking, approachable professionals that I have ever met. Growing up in Westford, he was an all-star student athlete. He was also inducted in the Westford Hall of Fame, both as a player and a coach. But most importantly, he carried those same competitive drive and team-first mentality into his leadership. Serving as an extraordinary high school principal for over 20 years at Westford Academy before bringing his talents to us. No matter the task, Jim is always the first person to lend a helping hand. I've learned so much from him over the years, particularly in his masterful way he develops personal connections, builds genuine relationships with everyone that he meets. Though he's only been with us for a short 3 years, Jim has already had a profound impact on the Newburyport Public Schools. He's an absolute asset to any organization he joins, and in his brief time here, he has left a great legacy of setting an inspiring example for all of us to live up to. Jim, the entire Newburyport Public Schools community is going to miss you profoundly, but more than anything, I am so incredibly happy for you and your family. You've dedicated your life to education, and you've earned the right to swap out the school calendar for some well-deserved quality time with the people you love most. So once again, we thank you for your leadership, your inspiration, and your decades of friendship. Congratulations on a legendary career and happy retirement.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
I just did. And we got a little gift for you, parting gift. We know you well too, so.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Barbecue stuff, we expect some steak dips this week.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been an absolute honor to work in two phenomenal school systems, 30 years in Westford, and then having the opportunity to work in Newburyport. It's been a great career, and you have a wonderful school system here. Getting to know all of your students, many of your staff, your central office staff, Superintendent Gallagher and Pam Keeley and Lisa Furlong, just wonderful people who really, really care deeply about students. So keep up the great work. Thank you. I'm humbled to have been here for 3 years. I wish I had a little more juice left in the tank. Retirement's calling me. So thank you for the opportunity. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you for this honor this evening.
Thank you.
I just have to put a plug in for my boss too, Andy Wolf. I'll tell you. Andy Wolf. I almost missed that one out, boss. You're the absolute best.
Good catch. All right, and thanks so much for coming tonight. It's a pleasure to be able to honor you all directly. We know not everyone can make it, but it's really nice to be able to recognize you in person. So thank you to those of you who were able to come. And for all those who were not, we extend a heartfelt congratulations for your service to the school district, and enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to business, we have the approval of the warrant. Mr. Voger?
I move that the following named bills to the Newburyport Public Schools amounting in the aggregate $582,604.56 be approved and forwarded to the city auditor for payment. There are no conflicts.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. Next item is the meeting minutes from May 13th, 2026. I accept a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion or corrections? I just wanted to clarify, I wasn't here, but when I was reviewing the minutes, just there was an executive session. There were 3 folks that did not. Did Ms. Higgins have to leave early? Just wanted to confirm that.
From where?
From last meeting, because it looked like it said Ms. Higgins was absent.
She was there.
Is that wrong in the roll call vote, Israel?
I had the mayor not here and Juliet Walker not here.
In the end of the minutes in the roll call vote.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So just with that amendment,
Yes.
anything else? All right.
Thanks for catching that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. Thank you. Next item is your student representative report. Good evening.
Good evening. I feel like it's been so long.
It's great to see you.
But for Bresnahan News, over the past several weeks, all Bresnahan students participated in our school-wide Gratitude Garland project. Each child contributed by writing or drawing something they are grateful for, and those reflections were added to a growing paper garland. Last week, we celebrated the project by taking the garland outside and wrapping it around our entire school. The Gratitude Garland has been a meaningful way for students to pause, reflect, and share what they appreciate, whether it's family, friends, teachers, learning, or everyday moments that bring them joy. As the garland has grown, it has become a visual reminder of the strong sense of community that makes Bresnahan such a special place. We also had our final Bres Bike Bus last Friday. It has been such a wonderful part of our community. Congratulations to all the students and families who make the effort to ride together every Friday. A special thank you to Mayor Reardon for riding with us last week. We love seeing everyone out there, building connections, staying active, and having fun before starting their day at Res. Field Day was a huge success. A special thank you to Mr. Foley and Mrs. Westcott for organizing such a fun and memorable day. Our students did a fantastic job showcasing the partner dances they worked so hard during the PE this semester. We were also excited to welcome members of the Coast Guard who taught students about boating safety and gave them the opportunity to explore a Coast Guard boat and meet some of our local heroes. For the Mullen News, several students from Mullen participated in the Math Olympiads program, 13 of which won awards for excellence within Davidson E grades 4 to E. Hannah Desimone was our team's top scorer, earning a medal, and she scored within the top 10%, earning a silver pin. Owen Earls, Charlie Roy, Herbie McConnell, Gus Julier, Sam Amison, Mason Rumor, Carson Carney, Augie Ferriera, James Carpenter, Nolan Slasky, and Margaret Rossi scored within the top 11 to 50%, earning an embroidered patch. The Mullen Math Olympians represented the first group of students taking part in this type of competition. Each Olympian should be proud of their effort and drive. The end of the school year is always a busy time with many activities and events happening across the school. The STEM Showcase and Step Up Day were a big success. Mullen Field Day is on June 18th. For the Knock Middle School News, our 6th grade students continue to work on their Tiny Homes project as an extension of their Backcountry Tiny Homes unit. This hands-on learning experience has provided students with opportunities to apply problem-solving, design, and collaboration skills. Last week, they also enjoyed an exciting and educational and fun trip to the Fenway STEM event. Our 7th graders are currently at Camp Jewel, where they are participating in outdoor education experiences that foster teamwork, leadership, and personal growth. Meanwhile, our 8th grade students are finishing their academic requirements and preparing for their final days at the Knock. It has been rewarding to watch them reflect on their middle school journey while getting ready for the transition to high school. We hope to see everyone at their Class Day celebration on Tuesday, June 23rd. While many end-of-year celebrations and activities are underway, our students and staff remain focused on meaningful learning experiences right through the final days of school. And then for the high school news, this past week the boys track team became state champions for Division 4. They have put an exclamation point on their exceptional season. Also, congratulations to Michael Mahoric for having the fastest time in the entire state for both the 1 mile and 2 mile races. And congratulations to the NHS class of 2026 on their graduation Sunday. It was a beautiful day for graduation, and thank you to the school committee and school council and city council for attending and supporting the graduates. That's all.
That was a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Any questions? Follow-up? I heard the mayor's bike ride was exciting.
Yeah,
Fun.
that's great. I think I'm going to do it tomorrow, too. I
Awesome.
think tomorrow's the last one of the season.
Great. Okay, moving on to the Knock and High School roof project update.
Yes, I thought Mr. McSweeney can kind of give the school committee kind of an update on where we're at and kind of what the summer will look like as the construction will begin shortly. I will.
So the last time I was up here, we were talking about a $7 million project for both roofs. We had some great bids come in, and I think the numbers have been pretty much out there, but this is what we're looking at for the project. Like I said, originally we were looking at the $7 million project, which did not include the $230,000 for the solar panels. The original cost estimates were for the Knock for about $2.8 million and $2.9 million for the high school, and that was just for the construction. So if you look up there, you can see that the Knock Mullen came in at under $1 million, and the high school came in at about $1.4 million, so well under what we had estimated. So between those two, for just construction, there's about a $3.3 million difference between what we had estimated and what we came in at just for the construction. So that was a big relief for all of us, I think, when those numbers came in. We have good contractors. We have Greenwood Construction for the Knock Mullen School, and we have Corolla Construction for the high school. If you go back to that, please.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
If you look at all those numbers, the OPM and architect numbers stay the same. Obviously, the construction numbers changed. The contingency numbers stayed the same. We've added in the solar panel costs. So looking at the total cost, $2 million for the high school, 1.8 for the Knock Mullen, and then the reimbursements, again, we're still at that 43%. So for the whole project, total cost of the city, we're just over the $2 million, about $2.3 million after the reimbursements. What all these costs don't include right now is the cost that we're going to incur for the panels being down. So the lost revenue from Amoresco, we'll have to pay for that. Right now, we're estimating that, based on numbers sent from them, to be about $10,000 to $15,000. And that, unfortunately, is a cost that's not reimbursable. The one good thing we can also look at these numbers is we look at the contingency numbers. There's about $300,000 in contingency numbers. Hopefully, we won't have to spend any of that, so there could be some savings there. But if we do, based on what we spend it on, could also be a reimbursable cost as well. So I think we're looking at some really good numbers and really good projects for the summer. So where we're at right now, we've been working with Amoresco, been working with Molly Ettenborough and Dawn Walters from the Green Advisory Group on the contract language with Amoresco as far as who's responsible for what, with pulling the panels off the roof. And I think the contract is about ready for the mayor to sign. If it's not on his desk already, I think it's made it through that process. I didn't hear back from Molly before the meeting, so I don't know for 100% on that. The schedule for them right now is they're going to be coming in on Monday the 22nd. They're going to start on the roof with disconnecting all the panels, shutting down the system associated with what we need to do. They're going to start pulling all the electrical conduit off, all the weights and ballast, and all the panels over the course of the 4 days, the Monday through Thursday of that week. On Friday of that week, when teachers, students, and everyone's gone, we have full rain in the parking lot. We're going to have a crane come in, and that's when they're going to pull all the panels off. So for the most of the week, they're just going to be on the roof, out of the way, not impacting any of the students or teachers or any staff. So kind of planned it out that way, and should all work out pretty smoothly, hopefully. So that being said, so they'll be done on the 26th. That roof will be clear. The following Monday, the two contractors are going to be coming on site. They're going to start getting their site prep work done. They're going to start delineating where their laydown areas are going to be, where they're going to start bringing in their materials and their equipment. Being a short week and a holiday week, they're most likely not going to start construction. That's what we're kind of working out with them. They're probably going to come in on that money and start in earnest with actually doing the construction on the roofs. And it'll go from that Monday, July 6th, right through probably July 28th. That's the schedule we're working with right now. We're continuing to have conversations with them. We've had a virtual meeting with both contractors, with our OPM and our architect and engineer firm, setting up schedule values, working on query forms, and trying to get those processes all lined out, as well as submittals and contracts. So we're still working through all that. They've also been on site, for each contractor for each site, doing site assessment and initial walkthroughs of the sites. We're progressing. We're progressing pretty quickly to make sure we hit our deadlines.
Great. All right, any questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
we are doing the Gaga puppets. So.
No. You got that in before I had my questions. Okay. Once again, I have to ask the questions about the solar panels. So how long are they going to be off with no revenue?
So they will be off from, again, that June 22nd date is when they're going to be shut down.
Yeah.
And we are going to get them back on as soon as possible. If we get good weather and they can progress through the Knock Mullen School quickly, then we'll be able to get them on quicker. But our plan is still to have them back on end of August, beginning of September. So we're looking at probably 2.5 months of them being down.
And that's 10 to 15K of revenue? Down for 3? Wow. Okay, so that's...
Yeah, the percentage of the array, I know we've been talking about 20%,
yeah.
But as we work with them, it's closer to 30% of the total array, based on the square footage and
okay.
So it is a larger percent of the array that we had initially thought with the initial assessments, but as we got into the final numbers,
Yeah. So you're not going to take them off the building until after school's out? Where are they going to be stored for the duration?
There's going to be 2 Connex containers on site. All the panels are going to get put on pallets and then craned off the roof and put into the containers, and it's all going to be done by Amoresco and their contractor, so we're kind of hands off, so any damage that happens from them doing that will kind of be on them.
Okay.
And it takes us out of that realm of liability for them.
Okay.
And the idea of putting them in the Connex containers and having them locked, we'll have a fence around them as well, so that we can make sure that no one gets in there and does any damage to it.
Yeah,
Try to protect them as best we can.
It would be kind of appealing if they were not locked away for individuals.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
If they were just laying out there, there would be the anticipation for people to throw stuff out.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, are there questions? Go ahead, Sharon.
No, I was just say great news.
I guess just logistically, there will be still activities happening at the school while the roof is being worked on?
So we're shutting down at the Knockmolen, we're shutting down the auditorium and the gymnasium as the project is going on above. For the high school, it's the auditorium, the library, and the 3rd floor areas. I have worked with the contractors. They're going to allow our cleaning staff to still be on the 3rd floor of the high school based on where they are, and we're going to kind of maneuver around that a little bit so we can still maintain our cleaning schedule to make sure that part's done.
And then obviously the exterior people have access to that all the time, so you guys will
So
have
for 2
appropriate.
lay down areas for the high school, we're planning on using the whole left side of the athletic entrance here for the gym entrance, that kind of teardrop area. That's going to be their lay down area to keep them over that side. They can lift and do most of their work from there. There's going to be a couple times where we're going to have to close off that road going through the field when they do crane work to do the other side, but we're going to limit that and we'll communicate that out. But the idea is that access to the field and access to the school will be maintained throughout the summer, minus a few days. And then the Knockmolen school, their laydown area is going to be right in the middle of the parking lot, so that way the front rows can still be accessible for people going into the front of the school. The back rows can still be accessible for people coming into the central office or trying to get to the fields or tennis courts. So we're trying to keep their laydown areas contained and small and stuff so we can manage access with them and still keep things useful.
Great. Yeah. All right, appreciate that. Thank you. Any other questions?
And both contractors and working with them on that, they're well aware. I mean, they work with schools, so they're very open to that.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, thank you for the update, and we're hoping for a swift project.
Yeah.
That's also a good project. Awesome. Thank you so much for providing that update. Okay. Next item is approval of 2020 overnight field trips for the high school.
Call up Mr. Wolf to kind of give us some background on this.
All right, well, thanks for having me tonight. And so the main part of the presentation is obviously to seek approval for the 2028 field trips, but I figured coming tonight that I would just continue with the process. And we're getting better at managing this data as well, and it's been very formative for us. So just to give you a summary of this past year's trips. So we had 26 students attend the Peru trip this year. We had a trip to Germany. There were 10. Our New York City Theater and Art program, 69 students. And the Cornell Sailbot, which is, they're competing right now. There are 26 students in upstate New York. And then compared to last school year, we had 113 students who participated in our either out-of-state or international trips last year. And then the percentage of students who received financial assistance. So we had 13 students this year, so 11.5% of the students participating. So that is an increase from last year of just over 1%. And then just to give the demographic data in regards to this year's trips, so 15% were designated as high need, so that is a drop from where we were last year by about over 8%. Low income, we had 8.8%, that's a 1% change, and then students with a disability, 10.6%. That is a drop from where we were last year, and this year we did not have any English language learners, but did have FLEP students who participated in a trip, and that was 1.8%. So obviously that's an area that we want to try to do some work on, and supporting students and that do have an interest in exploring other places. And then the funding sources that support the aid. So the Global Citizenship Program, that's run by Aileen McConey. So they do fundraisers, but then also, they also get donations, and that has helped with creating a fund that we're able to use to subsidize students' trips as needed. Also, there is a PTO scholarship that also goes into that account. There is a chaperone stipend that the EF company, now not all of our trips are EF, but we have used EF quite a bit, but they provide a chaperone stipend, and that is used to also subsidize costs for students. And then the EF company, and then another company that's being used for next year, the World Strides, also offers a scholarship as well. And then for domestic trips, we have the advocacy account, which is also used to subsidize students. And again, just from the feedback that I had received a couple of years ago from the school committee, where when people are filling out the Google form, there is a piece there that if you would like to round up, and that supports students as well. And so that was great feedback we had received and very helpful. So those are our demographics from this past school year. And then the trips that are being proposed for the 2028 school year is a trip for marine conservation in the Dominican Republic, and the coordinator for that is Mr. Aaron Roboto Smith. That trip is approximately $4,400, and that will happen in February of 2028 during the vacation. It has a community service focus. Students are going to learn about biology and restoration practices and support coral reef development. The second trip, which is to Japan, which is through World Strides. Gary Matloff is the coordinator for that, and that will happen during April vacation of 2028, approximately $5,500, and that trip is focused on cultural immersion and visiting some of the bigger cities of Tokyo, Kyoto, and Kanazawa. I should have practiced that, and Hiroshima. And then the third trip that is being proposed for the summer of 2028 is the Alps and the Mediterranean. That's approximately $5,000, and that is to explore the culture of the Alpine villages and visit the Riviera, and study the art scene of Barcelona. And so those are the three trips that are being proposed for the 2028 year.
Great, thank you, Mr. Wolf. I just have a quick follow-up question before opening it up. Do you, I think we have asked this before and I can't remember the answer, is there any kind of follow-up feedback survey given to participants after the trip, just to sort of understand how their experience or any
Actually, you know what? I am not.
You're not sure?
I'll have to follow
Okay,
up.
it's likely that the programs do that, but I wonder if that data is shared with the schools.
Yeah, no, that would actually be great data.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
sometimes it's not a great
And
experience.
people will go and
More
they have a
information.
good or a bad experience, but they may not, it may just not be shared. There might be some room for improvement that they can
Yep.
share.
No, that's great.
Okay. All right, open it up to questions.
I've got a question.
Member Shaw?
What's your definition of high needs?
So high needs includes students that are either English language learners, students with a disability, or students that are economically disadvantaged.
So on that, it was high needs, then low income, then,
So then I broke down those categories. That were within
okay,
the high
all right.
I needs is any of
Oh,
those.
is the total?
Yeah.
It would be
Got
any.
it. I didn't do the math, sorry. So the EF tours, I have personal knowledge of those, having a student who did those. I also know folks in other school districts. I'm not a big fan of EF tours.
Okay.
They have, I don't think they're in some ways very well planned out. I can tell you a trip to Cuba, at the time you could go to Cuba, involved flying from Boston to Newark, to Fort Lauderdale, taking a bus for a dinner in Miami, back to the motel in Fort Lauderdale, getting on a bus, and then going to the airport in Miami, and then hopping over to Havana. A lot of travel, especially for folks that flying is not their pleasure. And I think there was also other pieces of that trip that were not really a positive experience. So I don't know anything about World Strides. I also think the price tags on these are pretty high considering the length of the travel. I don't know. I have concerns about EF. They're a worry for me.
Member Shaw, when was the trip that you're referencing?
That was in 2016, so it was 10 years ago, but I
Okay.
do know people who have gone on other trips in the last, 3 to 4 years.
Right, so I think that's why maybe getting some recent feedback.
That would be good.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's wrong to have opinions about
Yeah.
these organizations, but that's why it might be good to get some recent
Right.
data.
And also compare with other companies, the price on these, I think.
Yep. No, I think that makes total sense, and I think the collection of the feedback, I mean, just so that for our own knowledge, because
Yeah.
we may choose, or are working with the advisors of these trips, to start guiding in a different direction if needed.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I also have personal experience with youth service trips, 3 service trips to Kenya. And I just think this is a very high price tag for what you're getting or not getting. Okay.
Great,
So,
thank you. Yeah, Member
Yeah.
Shaw. Yeah, Mr. Ricky?
So, to explain who World Strides is, World Strides bought Explorica and NETC. World Strides was its own company, and then PE came in and bought all of that.
PD?
Private equity.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I used to be vice president of sales and marketing at NETC. I own my own adventure travel company, and we take students as well. So I would say I know the industry. Kathleen is correct. You can go online. There's a Facebook group of 21,000 people that do not like EF for various reasons. The problem with EF is they cater to the teacher. That is their customer. It's really not the students. And I question the pricing, if that's going to go up as kids don't sign up. So if they don't sign up in, let's say by the end of school year, does it go up next school year?
from my knowledge, with any of our trips, whatever has been the proposed
Yeah.
price that's shared, that's been the price every single time.
Yeah, that's been I think they also typically, in my experience, they fill up and
Yes.
there's a cap and they
Right.
may occasionally expand that participation number, but I don't, to my knowledge, it doesn't change the cost of participation.
Okay. Member Shaw's correct about flights. It's the way they budget. Also, their meals aren't great. Their hotels are usually outside the city. To use an example like Boston, it would be you're coming to Boston, but you're staying out in Brookline. So you got to take a bus back and forth. My other concern is this a private trip? Are they guaranteed not to be put on another bus with another school?
You know, all I can speak is from our prior trips, because usually we've had whatever the numbers are that they look for, we've always been able to fill those. So the students have always had their own transportation because of the numbers. There was a trip a few years ago, but that was more for a conference that was taking place in Germany, and so the advisor did group with another school just so that they could have their own group, but it was with another school system where we had already, I had had a conversation with the principal, and obviously our person knew their their chaperones.
And remember, Principal, that was not an EF trip. That was a trip to Germany for a tour, right?
No, that was not that. No, that was. I can't remember what company that was,
Okay.
but it was for their. It was for the international conference.
But it wasn't.
for
I don't think it was through
citizenship.
EF.
Yes.
Right.
The next one is the pricing. The pricing seems high based on what I know they will get. And my focus really is on EF because I think it is a far inferior product based on how they treat everybody. And my wife worked there for 23 years, so I know the back end of it also. My other issue is they pay teachers. There's a reward system built into this. Global rewards. It goes anywhere from free travel to larger stipends than you would probably imagine. If you're filling a bus, you're making quite a bit of money. So, and I've spoke to Ethan and the superintendent about changing the form for these things so we know how much is this teacher getting in a stipend, because that will affect, I assume that would affect their judgment. Maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah, no, and that would actually make a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of insurance is covering our district? I assume we're put on as a waiver. Is it guaranteed to be private? Because that makes a huge difference, right? Because we don't know what ABC school does for their chaperones. And then, of course, their parents. And then the students, and just continues to trickle down. And then last is to price match. Because, as we all know, anything over, I believe, 5,000 has to have 3 different bids in the district.
Okay.
Is that?
Is that right?
I don't think that.
I'm not sure if that
I think
applies
that's
to
That's for
them.
procurement.
Yeah.
For, well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I don't think this is
Right.
procurement.
Right. But the amount of money we're spending, I mean, that's 75,000 plus, right? If that many students go.
Well, it's not the
It's
school
not the
that's
school
paying.
being paid.
No, I
But I understand your point.
I understand that, but
Yeah, it's a lot
when
of
we're
money.
when we're having discussion after discussion, week after week, in FinCom and elsewhere about raising athletic fees $25, but yet we're spending that much money on a trip without price checking it. It's beyond.
Can I ask-
We are fortunate. That we have families that can afford that, but there's also a lot that can't.
I just want to piggyback on that. So, this is the most discussion we've ever had about the field trip. How do the trips get picked? Like, does EF pitch the trip, or do like the
No,
trip?
our-
So like, but like, does the location? Is it like that? And so you could price check because, hey, we want to go to Japan. We're going to look at like 3 different companies about how to go
So
to
like,
Japan.
for example, for the Peru trip, which was, so it depends on which teachers are organizing the trip. And so with the Global Citizenship Club, they kind of get feedback from students about areas that they would want to try to explore. That's a very large club. But then obviously you don't have to be a part of that organization to go on trips that they're coordinating. And then the advisors do explore, where there might be options. As far as the price checking, I don't know specifically what, the price checking, I would think they are taking that into consideration, but I can't obviously speak to that.
Sure.
I do know with Erin Hobbs, when they did the Peru trip, that was a piece, and she was extremely happy with the company was Global Citizenship Program, which I think does the middle school trips, and was absolutely fantastic. And probably the room conditions were the best, because she has also done trips with EF. And so I know she was going to be talking with the other advisors about this might be a place that you want to consider, just in the future, just because of the experience that the students had with that organization.
And I think from our discussions and talking with Mr. Wolf, it's, I think, important for us to explore other companies that do similar trips. And we have Mr. Ricky obviously has knowledge of this. so it could advise us on other companies moving
Yeah, it
forward.
should be great.
Did you have any other quick comments? So
I was just gonna say, is this time sensitive, the vote tonight, or?
I mean, these are, I think what the advisors were looking to do, and to your point about costs, because usually I usually come in the fall, and they were looking to help families spread out the cost of the trips, is what they were looking
makes sense.
Okay.
Because these are not until the year 2028.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, we are scrutinizing this quite a bit tonight, but we have in the past as well. I think, some of the documentation of participation numbers, we've had conversations about participation numbers and the potential for being more inclusive. So it's not like this is news to Mr. Wolf. He's heard us talk about this before. I think the focus on the companies is a good discussion. I don't know that we're going to resolve it tonight. So I guess understanding that you have a group behind you that's been looking into this and considering these options, I wonder if we could hold off on the approval of these trips tonight, whether we could potentially bring it back for another vote later in June if we can get some more information by then, or we might have to wait until the summer to approve it. But I do think it sounds like members have enough questions that it might not be appropriate to vote tonight. Although, do we have feedback on the sort of overall, if we remove the companies from the trip? I wonder if people have feedback, because to me these seem well aligned to our general curriculum goals and the intentions behind the trips. To me, there's no concern about the match with our broader curriculum and education goals. So that is not concerning to me. The locations aren't concerning to me. I don't know as much about these companies, but I have been concerned about the price for a number of years. So any other feedback? Yeah, Mr. Ricky?
The positive about EF, they send 100,000 plus kids abroad every year. That is life-changing. Even if they stay in the worst hotel, have the worst food, and they fly 20 different airports to get there, they're still getting out of their comfort zone and outside the school walls. So any company, regardless of who we settle on or gets chosen, the fact that they're getting out of Newburyport is the win.
Oh, I would definitely agree with that.
Thanks, Mr. Ricky. Mr. Boger?
Yeah, on the point that the Vice Chair brought up, I agree. I think these are wonderfully well-intentioned and great targets culturally and internationally, and certainly support that. Sadly, I think in general, the costs for these trips are astronomically high, regardless of where you end up. But we should heed Mr. Ricky's warnings across the board. We brought this up last year with EF specifically. We had a meeting on that, and we appreciate you. I know at that point, and maybe you are doing it already, we did mention the local organization, which is Global Citizens, and they do an excellent job. So that would be nice. Ms. McConey did a great presentation on the one that's happening next year. I think it was Spain. And it was so thorough and it was clear. So that might be helpful. Just to, yes, we went through all this, and for future considerations. This does not apply to any of this because, as I said, I think these are all wonderfully well-intentioned. There is a broader discussion in education about time away from classroom, and I think at the lower levels that might be worth tracking going forward when we talk about field trips, because at times we seem to be tacking on a lot of field trips. Again, these are not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about future discussions. And as we continue to try to sort of enhance academic experiences with field trips that are at times sort of questionable academic value, that might be a discussion worth having in the future. This does not apply. These are great, and I think there are opportunities for families and students to get abroad, which is fantastic, and maybe we figure out a way to do it in a cheaper fashion. Yeah.
Any other comments from members? Yeah, Member Higgins?
Question, what in our policy do we specifically have to vote on? I'm wondering if we have to vote on a tour company?
We don't have to vote on the tour company per se, but the details of the trip have to be enough that we have to know enough of the details to let them start planning the trip. So let me pull
I guess I'm just wondering if you know, like, can we, and maybe it's not useful tonight, but considering even the process moving forward, can we approve a trip in concept to be like, well, you know, conceptually, we approve this, we think this is the ballpark price, have them go out, get interested students, families can start budgeting for it, and then, you know, maybe you're asking your teachers to go out and look at 2 or 3 different companies and get, you know, get bids.
Yep, we, just reading the policy, I think we've had this happen before, so we give initial approval to start so that those who are organizing, planning can start doing the fundraising.
Yeah.
And then final approval is not granted until all the preparations for the trip itself have been completed. So we could give sort of that initial approval to go ahead and start organizing and planning the trip. I think, though, I don't know how members feel about that.
I'd be okay with that because it starts the process. You'll get an understanding of how many kids intend to go. But I can tell you this, if you take this paper and send it to ACIS, World Strides, Global Citizen, they will mimic this trip. They will change hotels, rooms, but they'll give you almost exactly what you want. So I think to say, as Brianna suggests, I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
I think it'd just be very transparent too.
Yeah,
So like, if they
yeah.
came saying like, hey, we want to go to Japan, these are the 3 trips we got, they're all pretty much the same, but these are where they came at. And then at least it would just show, even if that's already happening, like I think it'd just be a great way to show the public that, you know, we take these things seriously, we know these are really expensive trips, and this is the process that the school's going through to pick the best one.
And one last thing, the Costa Rica trip, I believe, is this coming up? $4,900 is abhorrent.
Okay.
It's like
Shockingly high.
$1,000 or more outside a budget in a ballpark of any other company.
All right. Well, this is good feedback. So I would recommend we continue with approval if members are comfortable voting on the approval consistent with the policy, which is JJH, which again, just to reiterate, we give the initial approval before the staff can start engaging students in fundraising activities. We're supposed to consider the educational value of the trip in relation to the cost prior to granting the initial approval. Overnight trips should offer significant educational benefits, and they should be appropriate for the grade level. And then final approval is granted once all preparations for the, final approval will be granted once all preparations for the trip have been completed, and that has to be done no less than 30 days prior. So I would just say we can give the provisional approval, but that initial approval is supposed to factor in the cost. So
The initial approval factors in?
yeah, well, it says we're supposed to consider the educational value of the trip in relation to the cost prior to granting the initial approval. So I'm just throwing out to members, that doesn't mean we can't approve it. It's just something we should consider.
I mean, because it's so far in advance, I wouldn't mind at least pushing it until the next meeting and see if Principal Wolf comes back with some more information that he can share.
Okay, are you comfortable with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Yes, got it.
Yeah.
So why don't we, I recommend that we table this for tonight, so no vote required, and if Mr. Wolf can come back with more guidance, more context for us on the price, I think that would be helpful.
I just had one other comment. I don't know these trips super well, so I would certainly defer to others who do, like Member Ricky. But the cultural immersion trips, I was just thinking about the educational experience side of it. I mean, cultural immersion is an incredible experience, like all in itself. But I think some of the trips have like a very specific focus, right? Like they would be an environmental science focus or something like that. That I think is, you know, it just has this clear like educational benefit to it. I'm just wondering if there's some way that the teacher can kind of pair, like is there an educational pairing that can be tagged to the cultural experience? I guess I'm just thinking like if I'm a parent going to spend $5,000, which is, I don't even know if I could even do that, honestly. Like, I would love my kid to do this, but $5,000, right, to go on this trip, and it's a vacation for cultural immersion. It was like, well, I'd rather take you, right? I'll spend $5,000, I'll spend $7,000, and like our whole family can go, for a cultural vacation. But it's like, well, what could this trip provide that I can't? Like, what can they kind of get into or experience or do that I couldn't give them myself?
Yeah, there is a pretty detailed itinerary included in the packet, but
I did see that, but I just felt like there was a
tying
difference
in a
between the
little more.
cultural trip. Like the Japanese culture is, I'm going to check out all these things, which I could do as a tourist, versus like I'm hooking up with some like conservation thing, or I'm working on a farm, like that one in Ireland. Like there was something else. That
maybe a stronger connection with the Japan in particular, but others that are just cultural immersion.
You can also get college credit.
And there are fundraising, again, there are
Julia doing it.
part attached to this is fundraising. They do fundraising, like most of the families or students who participate in it participate in some sort of fundraising effort as well, which is part of the reason that they do it so far in advance, is to spend time raising money. But again, these are all great concerns to raise, and I think we'll give Mr. Wolf and his staff an opportunity to respond.
That's great.
Okay. Super.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, next item is the girls varsity golf team proposal.
All right. I'll walk up here with Mr. Manning. I'm getting there. All right.
That's all together.
It's all together.
Yep.
Who's the call's coming up, right?
It's coming.
Yep, there you go.
All right. So, and we talked about this at our FinCom meeting a few weeks ago. But basically, the proposal is coming from Athletic Director DeVito and Mr. Wolf. There's been a girls' golf club for the past few years where we have over 20 girls who have been participating in the club. And coming into this year, they feel strong enough to begin a girls' varsity program. And then in your packet, I won't read all the bullet points, but there was at our FinCom meeting, there was a lot of positive reasons why this just makes sense for Newburyport at this time. So they've been the girls' golf club since 2022. And the girls, it provides, obviously we know golf is a very popular sport right now. It gains popularity. And our female student athletes have been really engaged in the club. So the idea of this would be a varsity, next year would be varsity only. The estimated size of the team would be around 12, maybe 15 student athletes. The schedule would look, the home course would be at the Amesbury Country Club, and this would be taking place in the spring, and they'd have 6 home matches and 6 varsity away matches, and the transportation would be one of our vans. The cost and fees, this was broken down by Mr. Wolf and our athletic director, DeVito. But just the estimate, the coaching salary, the Amesbury Golf Club fee, equipment, uniforms. So to run this program for next year would be around $11,000. And I think that was it for, for the proposal. But just in my experience, typically you would start off with a club to see if there's interest. And I think since 2022, our girls, student athletes, were very interested and were very dedicated to the club over 3 years. So it shows that interest. And I do believe this would be great for Newburyport Athletic Department. Would be one of the first varsity girls golf programs on the North Shore. And I think we'd be almost like a trendsetter in the KPN League for this too. So, and we have some good golfers. Let's not kid ourselves. So this was our proposal. I think it's $11,000, but I think it's not a lot of money to be supporting a varsity program going into next year. Yes.
I love this idea at first, but because we're the only one of the first teams, like who are they going to be playing?
That's my question.
And like is travel, because if they are going to be traveling farther outside of North Shore.
No, it's well, we have the van, so we have our school vans.
Okay.
So typically the coaches drive, so that the transportation wouldn't be much other than just the gas. And right now they have a 12-game schedule. I don't have the teams. There are some teams I think close by that would be playing, but I don't think we'd be going like out to Western Mass. I think the Middlesex League, like Wakefield and those teams have some girls golf, but the KPN League would be one of the first varsity girls golf programs. But there are local, like Merrimack Valley, Middlesex. I think those are some of the teams that we would be playing. So traveling to like Melrose, Wakefield wouldn't be a.
Okay. My second question is, I think Mike Guthrie's the coach of the boys team too. So how does that work if one has a match and then the other one's practicing?
No, it's spring and fall.
Oh, spring. It's
Yeah, so the boys play in the fall,
That's the
and the girls play in the spring.
Okay.
Okay, that's helpful. I didn't know that. Yeah.
I'm curious, and you might not know the answer to this, but I think I saw in what we're going to talk about next that the girls can use Amesbury, but the boys can't. Why is that?
It's, I think, because the other, the reason for that, Andy, was I think
I think it was the time of year.
time of year, yeah. So the other, where the boys use, that is a lot busier in the spring during the golf season versus the fall.
Got it.
Well, I think, so maybe it's vice versa, because Amesbury is lower cost.
Right.
So if the boys could use Amesbury, that would be my preference. So I wondered if
Amesbury
there
might have their
was.
own golf team, right?
Can I talk?
Sure.
You can come up. Yeah. Can you come up?
Yeah. I'll come up. You give me the mic.
Golf
All right.
club.
All right. So I know a lot of you. So my name is Eric Sorensen. I have 2 kids in the school, Newburyport resident, but I own Newbury Golf Center, 25-year PGA professional. So first of all, thank you for having me. Amesbury, the boys, Amesbury High School practices there.
Okay.
So so that's the fall season.
Got it.
So that's why the girls can go in the spring.
Great. Thank you.
So a couple things, Sean, your answer, within a half hour, 40 minutes, there is some Middlesex, Saugus, in that area. That's where they'd be, 6 and 6, 6 home, 6 away.
Great.
So that's where they'd be.
Thanks.
So,
Appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming up and answering those questions. Any other questions for the staff?
No, I think it's a brilliant concept. It looks like they went about it all the right way, and they built the club team, and they got really organized. And I mean, it might not be. Title IX since the 1970s is one of the most successful policy-oriented social movement mechanisms we've had in the. I mean, I think we'd be crazy not to support this. I do think in the context of the next conversation, we do need to talk more broadly about cost in sports in general.
Yeah.
But in terms from an equity perspective, in terms of supporting, she can already play on this team. I've seen her hit balls. We should support this as much as we possibly can.
Great. Yeah, appreciate that. Anybody else have comments?
Yeah, I highly support this. I have a sister-in-law who played D1 on a golf team, free ride to through college, and it's a great opportunity, and strong girls rule, so let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, so my question for staff is what we support this? Is this approval needed because it's a new program? I'm just trying to understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's an improvement.
Is there a policy we should reference? Do you know? Or we'll just.
I would just approve it and then
Okay.
we can.
Okay.
So I make a motion to policy TBD.
Let me
The fee
find it.
policy would be applicable because you are adding.
It is the
adding
fee
new sport to
policy,
the
but
district.
let me just, I think it's student program. Hold on.
While she's doing that, I think
Yeah,
it's
go
great.
ahead.
From a equality standpoint, I firmly believe Title IX, if we have a men's team, we should have a women's team. And I think our women's sports programs suffer in the district. I'm just looking at softball specifically and soccer, the two sports that I know. I think that there could be a little better care for them.
I will say, though, we have just incredible numbers for athletics all around, and I know for specifically female sports teams, I mean, our numbers are through the roof. So, I mean, you name the sport. For the most part, softball might be the outlier a little bit, but I know they have some good girls coming up. But for the most part, I mean, I think we're taking much more than you typically would. I mean, huge teams at all levels.
Teams,
yeah, JV1, JV2, and then up to varsity.
Our participation in spits, I mean, we have nearly 800 students, right, in the high school, and approximately 600 are participating in some sort of a sport, at least one season. So,
That's amazing.
and plus, you know, as when we start talking about the fees, you know, just a shout out to our coaches and staff in the high school. We have, you know, the best Division III program in the state, year after year. So it's something we should be really proud of. And adding another varsity sport for the girls, I think, you know, it's not like just adding the program, but they're gonna thrive just like all the other programs that we have.
Great. Thank you for that, filling that time. It's policy JJIB, which is interscholastic athletics. Go figure. And it's just basically that the school committee approves participation in interschool sports. So I would say that applies in this situation where if we're creating a new program, we should do it consistent with JJIB, interscholastic athletics.
I knew there was a policy in that.
Well, I make a motion for policy JJIB to approve the proposal for a girls varsity golf team for next year.
Second.
Great. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Vice Chair votes aye. Great, congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the fee discussion.
Yes, so we've had, I think, multiple meetings in the finance committee meetings regarding athletic fees, and I think a couple meetings as a whole, we've showed different elements of what the fees, you know, would look like. So basically, why we're looking at the athletic fees for approximately at least 5 years, we haven't raised the athletic fees, but all costs, as you know, for everything has been going up: transportation, officials, coaching, facility costs, uniforms, equipment. So athletics are funded through the combination, obviously, of the operating budget, user fees, and game revenue. So to run our athletic program overall, when you count all of those funding sources, around $1.1 million. Annual athletic user fee revenue is approximately $265,000, about 24% of the total cost of the programs. So the proposed athletic fee schedule, Tier 2, current, you know, we're looking to increase by $25. So the current fee right now is $300. The proposed would be going up $25. Tier 3 athletic fees, obviously they're $250, up $25. Middle school, there's been no fees for the past 3 years, but as we were saying, the participation rates for the middle school athletics has doubled since we first have done that about 3 or 4 years ago. Boys varsity JV golf, looking to move them from Tier 2 to Tier 1, and that's because of the cost of the golf course, the rental fees, and all of that. The new program that we just talked about, the girls varsity golf, would keep them in the Tier 3 at $275, because when you're looking at their costs, obviously with 12-game schedule and Amesbury, the use of Amesbury is a little bit less for them. So the estimate new revenue would be an additional, $37,000 for the athletic department. As we go to the next slide, and this is what we've been talking about. So we haven't changed the athletic fees. For 3 years, it's been free for the middle school. The $75 fee will support more sustainable middle school athletic model, encourage greater commitment after the registration. You know, that's the other piece is a lot of the students may be participating, but their commitment to going to games and practice has not been, consistent, and then help to offset the cost of uniforms, equipment. So that was our proposal. And then access and affordability. This is always a concern, not only just for school committee, but for our district. So we support families, athletic department, and any type of extracurricular support. And then we know the families, through our principals, adjustment counselors, school nursing teams, social workers, and other student support. So any families that are struggling financially, we help them out, and no one will go without participating because of funds and all of that type of stuff. And that's how we kind of identify families throughout the school year through a lot of our support staff and people that are working, with our families. So we've achieved. 2, that the proposal for us would be to approve the FY27 athletic fee schedule. You can go back. Nope, I think it's this page here.
Correct.
Probably should know this, but what's the mechanism for supporting the kids who need that financial assistance? Where does that money come from?
That comes from the, I think some of our student, what's the account? The student activities accounts.
The
Advocacy accounts.
And how is that funded?
That's funded through, we actually had a big donation through,
Okay, so we have,
we do have
a fund.
We have a fund
Okay.
that, I want to say it's around $7,000 that was donated by a family to help families throughout the district.
But is that a recurring?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also have the student activities funds that we use per building to support families. And that's where like some of the field trips and things like that for the families that can't afford it, they'll use the student activities funds.
Other comments or discussion? I have my own opinion. I'm holding back.
Yeah. No,
Mayor?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's been a very lengthy, I would just say, it's been a very lengthy conversation over the course of the year, and I think a really effective one, and I thank the superintendent for, and Mr. Manning. The vice chair has asked a lot of really insightful questions that have led to more understanding for all of us, and I think wherever we end up, it's a good demonstration of an inquiry that led to more inquiries that is hopefully going to end up with an effective policy. But we've been all over the place, to be honest with you. We were kind of at one point talking about sort of the efficacy of the fees altogether, and then another, point being, for $30,000 or $37,000, we probably spent more time than on things that cost $3.7 million. But it's an important subject. So, I just want people to know that we spent a lot of time thinking through these things, and I think the concern about the burden it puts on families is real. The concern about funding these sports programs is real, and that across the state, the vast majority sort of go by this model. Those in the North Shore, almost the vast majority, go by this model. And so while we don't want to increase fees, we understand that participating in these sports comes at a very high cost, and some of the drivers, specifically, are transportation costs, which continue to go up. Officiating costs, which continue to go up. So these sports are expensive. Some are more expensive than others. So thank you for this. I thought at one point we were talking about the middle school athletic fee going to be at $50. So I was just curious about that. That's an interesting one because we've had we're almost like a victim of our own success here, where the middle school track program is so awesome that we're now up to 106 or 107 participants, which means now we have to get all our athletes to different places, which costs a lot of money. So it's an interesting. I don't think we're ever going to get a majority opinion on this, meaning there's tons of families that are more than happy to pay $300-400. I think one of the vice chair's concerns, is a very legitimate one, is if we incrementally raise this, are we going to end up in a position in several years where we're talking about $500, and we want to avoid that. So at the same time, we're in a year where $37,000 might actually make a difference.
Thank you, Mr. Booger. Yeah, Mary?
Two things. I had said, I don't know, earlier on this year when we talked about this, my concern about anything that would make middle school kids not want to play sports and how important that is. But I hadn't really considered the idea that if you don't charge anything, you get a whole bunch of people who sign up and then don't show up. And I think that's really important when you have people putting in their time and energy to make it happen and to organize it, and other kids needing them to be there in order for it to all work. So I've sort of changed my mind a little bit about, I don't know if we want to go from 0 all the way to 75, but I'm okay with the idea of a middle school charge.
Thank you, Member Aramo. I had this similar reaction, and I can follow up later. Mayor?
Do we still have a cap for families for high school? 1,400. Okay. I just graduated once, but doesn't help me.
And that's not going up. That's staying.
No, that's right.
Staying the same. No, I think I usually land with Vice Chair Walker on a lot of these things. This is the second time you've come to us for it, and I guess where I'm leaning more towards now, I'm going to support this because I think it's just the world that we're living in right now, right? Like, we can either do less here in the city and not charge, or we can keep having opportunities like the girls varsity we're not generating money off any of this, right? We're still taking a loss at the end of the day. So do we want to be a place, and I think I know we certainly want to be like that place, and we have been that place at the high school. Do we want a place that just want to give kids as many opportunities as possible? And again, it's a pretty minor increase. I would maybe even propose instituting like a 3-year moratorium on touching things after this, and so that gives us 3 years to deal with these, because it's been a number of years since those things have changed, and at least we're letting people know, hey, look, this isn't going to be a yearly thing, that we're gonna keep going back to the well. Because I know besides this, and we're missing, I can hear Member Callahan in my head, or Councilor Callahan, we're going back to families for a lot, whether it be fundraising for things outside of athletics. I mean, it's always something, right? So if we can keep it as minimal as possible, and it allows us to keep offering many different things to the kids in Newburyport, then I think that's positive.
Yeah, I really am conflicted about this. I do want to, there's a part of me that just wants to hold the line, because since I joined the school committee and before that, as a parent and as somebody who's seen, these prices are just shocking when your kids start sports, and I'm in a situation that we could afford it, but it was still shocking. It's a huge amount of money per sport, and I agree that the majority of our families probably can make it work, or they make it a priority to make it work. But I think it doesn't matter whether they can make it work. To me, it's still a problem that we provide programs that rely on such a large amount of expenditure from the family. However, I have been listening through our discussion this year. I agree with Member Aramo that I have come to terms about the limits on free programs. I had said at one point, why don't we just cap the participation numbers? But then I had in my mind, my gosh, like how quickly those programs get filled up, and then that's an equity issue in and of itself. So I think having some measure of serious, how serious is your commitment and I think with a monetary amount is probably a good one. I agree. I think 75 honestly is a little high for me, particularly going from 0. I think I'd be more comfortable with 50, which is what I think we had discussed previously. But I also was thinking about our fundraising discussions, which we've also been having since I started, and Member Callahan participated in, led for a few years ago. I still feel that we ask families a lot, whether it's through these fees or through fundraising, and if we're going to increase these fees, albeit incrementally, the messaging really needs to continue to go out to these programs that the additional asks need to be very, very carefully weighed, and they need, and I know that parents push this. I know it's not necessarily the coaches pushing this, but we need to work on our messaging that, students are already paying to participate in this program. We, as a school committee, already, and as a city, support these programs monetarily. These extra fundraising initiatives that happen need to be very, very carefully considered. They have to be for a very, significant reason. To me, I think we have expectations about like having fancy uniforms that have everybody's names on them. Maybe we need to lower expectations about what Newburyport schools are doing on the field. It should be about playing the sport and excelling at the sport, and how we look. I know that some people disagree with me, but that's all fundraising that buys those uniforms with the fancy names. Both my sons had them. I'll just tell you that. So I want that message to be clear, and I think as a committee and with staff and with the athletic director, I just want to make sure we're continuing to push that message out that, we want our programs to be successful, but we also want them to be accessible to everybody and not make people feel uncomfortable because they know that they're going to be asked not just to pay the fee, but also to do even more. I would want to say we always go up, we never go down, and that's one thing to keep in mind, right? Oh yeah, we haven't raised, we've never gone backwards either, and it would be great if there was a time in the future where we could actually reduce our fees. I think that would require probably an outside fund that supported sports. I just don't think we're on a sustainable trajectory where we could ever do away with fees, honestly. I know other schools districts do it. I think they probably have mechanisms that are private funding or other things that support those programs. Yeah,
I know that there's been a lot of fundraising conversations before I joined the board, so we don't need to get too much into that, but do parents of teams, are they required to get approval before they decide to fundraise for jackets or this or that or whatever?
Yep, they're supposed to. And we have a spreadsheet on our fundraising on the athletic page. It's on our school district page somewhere. Maybe it's at the high school that tracks the fundraisers that have been approved.
Okay.
And I know Member Ricky participated in that too. We are trying to make that a little easier to register and do all that, but it is tracked, and it should be fairly current. I mean, sometimes it takes a while to update, but so if a parent, and parents often don't know that, but the coach should be able to tell them if that's happening, that you have to go through the appropriate process. So I think I've said enough on this topic. I will support this, but I agree whether we do it through a policy or whether we just as a committee and staff commit to not revisiting this for another at minimum 3 years. And I think too we need to be very cognizant about how the projected revenues from fees reflect the cost of the program. And I don't want to. The message also to staff is we need to control costs. We need to control costs in these programs, and if it's a nice to have, we need to really think about that. Because it's very easy in a community like this that's so supportive of athletics to think that we need to provide the top of the line for everybody, and we need to be cautious about that because it's just going to be a continual cycle if we don't do that. Yeah, Ricky?
I agree with them as well. A 3-year moratorium on a raise would be great. And the one thing we discussed in FinCom was a percentage.
Yeah.
If the school district pays 75% moving forward, that would be great. If we could come up with some sort of formula.
Yeah, fair, and I guess that goes back to my point, though, that I also don't want those costs escalating, and then 25% becomes a huge amount, so.
Like the world around us.
Yes. Yeah, Member Higgins?
Just quickly, I mean, ideally, I think we're all on the same page that, as low a cost as possible. Pragmatically, you mentioned these never go down. It's like the coaches' salaries never go down.
Right.
Right? They only go up. Right? Transportation,
Right.
So there's always going to be that delta, and so I'm just thinking like in coaches' salaries being a little different than our teachers' salaries. When one retires, you can't get a cheaper one, right? Like the coach's salary is set, and so as that continues to increase according to whatever CBA they have in place, the program inherently gets more expensive every single year. And so like where is the additional,
Right, but I don't.
how does it get absorbed?
These fees primarily, well, I guess they're distributed, so we can't say they just support coaches' fees. But the intention is for these fees to be focused on things like transportation and stuff like that. That has some.
But it's cumulative, right? That the athletic program inherently will get more expensive every year, right? And where does that kind of come from? So I guess I just don't know how to like fix that.
Well, I think that it's, if we decide that we're going to charge for athletics, then we're always going to be in that cycle where it's never going to go. It's going to continually go up. I think the philosophy at heart here is, if we're offering athletics, do we charge a fee at all? That's what I grapple with.
Yeah.
And I get that it's not a core academic activity and all that, but it has so many benefits. And if we're going to be providing it as a program like this, is there a future where we just don't charge fees because we decided we're going to have sports in our schools, and that's part of our what we're providing as part of the well-rounded education. But that's a discussion that's way beyond today. And that's what I mean by saying it never goes down. Is that the way we are funding our sports is we rely on these fees, and that's just
I guess I probably have a historic perspective, because in 2013 they started the first girls ice hockey program, and it was a co-op team, and at the time it was $1,100, which compared to the other sports back then, so these look comparatively.
So they came down.
What?
So it came down.
Yeah, they came down. They have come down, and
You're
I
at the
mean,
mercy of the co-ops.
Right. What?
It's like, when you're not the host school, you're at the mercy of to join their school. Because those girls that were playing in Masco were paying the same as the girls from Newport were.
But
from what I heard, the new superintendent said, let's just have our own program.
Right.
Yep.
And we did.
Yep. That's what I heard too.
Well, so, okay, and, all right, so.
We took care of that one.
Okay.
Who was that superintendent?
Too bad my kid wasn't in school later, and then she was. But the other thing, we talk about the athletics, but the different clubs, I'm all, my kids played athletics. They were not Olympians, but they were, they enjoyed it. I can't speak enough for cross country and what that was like as a inclusive sport for so many. But what about the niche kind of club/sporty things? Do we have any interest in promoting that? Because there are some kids who don't want to be playing varsity or JV, blah, blah, blah. They want to do, like, a couple of things I wrote down here. Ultimate Frisbee, okay? That's niche, okay? Not everybody plays, but it's a great sport. Disc golf, I mean, as a club thing. So, I mean, these are the kind of things
Well, as a school committee, we have limited influence over that.
Yes, but
I think
I'm
it's
just
great
wanna-
to bring it up.
Yeah.
But I think we have to look to the student body and the faculty to
Sure.
drive that. So
Yeah.
if we have a faculty who really wants to drive that, I think bring the proposal to us and we'll have support. But yeah, so I think that's a fair point, Member Shaw. That but it has to be, it's not something we're going to decide to
It's
spend.
Right.
driven by a group of people
By
that want to make it
interest.
happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm just,
Like the girls' ball.
Right.
right, I mean, I'm just thinking, because there are those kids
Yeah, absolutely.
that might want to do something like this.
We
I'm not-
also have a really great youth services program that I think gives opportunity for those kind of, opportunities, trying
Sure.
new different sports, multi-sports, and exposure to different
Yeah.
things.
Ultimate was one of them that came through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so any final thoughts? Yeah, member.
Yeah,
Bogert.
I mean, some of them are anecdotes, but they're worth bringing up. One question was, at one point, was skiing up for moving tiers?
Yes, skiing was initially considered, however, recently they switched the transportation model where the district does not transport the student athletes to the mountain. So that ended up bringing down this winter's costs up substantially, which is why we pulled that recommendation off the table.
Great, thank you.
So there's an example of an opportunity
Yeah.
where we potentially could have raised a fee and then reconsidered it if the transportation had been resolved. And I think similarly, Member Higgins, to your point, if there's opportunities for facility rentals to go down, I think it would be great to think of, if our facility costs go down, I think in our overall cost to operate the sport, we should definitely think about re-tiering the sports. I don't think that's going to happen, but who knows? Maybe they'll start going to Amesbury Golf instead and save significantly. So I think that should be part of this three-year cap, is if there are unexpected reductions in the cost of the sport, that we should also think about re-tiering the sport. And I like this tier idea because it does it helps a little bit with some equity between the sports, understanding that there are some sports that are more costly, but we're not trying to nickel and dime every single sport.
Yeah, it would be good to continue doing research on this, because a lot of the research, illuminated a lot of interesting elements to this, which are, one of them, which is just worth stating, as much as we all want to control costs and keep them down, and it sounds like we all support that as much as possible. We are in a reasonable position in relation to our peer districts, and actually quite competitive in terms of our fee position. We did look into districts that don't charge fees at all. They tend to be urban. They tend to be districts that have access to different state and federal funding than we do. Point being, and we also looked at sort of more affluent districts as well that do an enormous amount of fundraising despite the fact that they're extremely well funded, which was interesting in and of itself. Point being, no one's really solved this, so it'll be interesting to track that going forward. But this is where we're at, and it's a worthwhile discussion to support a really successful and program that a lot of kids participate in and get a lot out of.
Great, thank you. Good discussion. Let's move to a vote unless anyone has anything burning they want to say. So the proposed athletic fee schedule is on this slide. Member Aramo and myself both noted that we would support reducing the middle school fee to $50. If the maker of the motion wants to include that, that would be great. Or if they don't, that's fine too. And the notes in our agenda allude to the policy, which is not on my screen. And this is athletic user fee policy JQ, which is student fees, fines, and charges.
So, motion to approve as it's been provided.
Okay. Are you with the 75 or the 50?
I am with the 75.
You're with the 75, okay. Second. Then I would move to amend to reduce that to $50, and we would, if someone wants to second that amendment,
Second.
then we would vote on that amendment. So, my amendment is to reduce the $75 to $50, and I think just to explain that a little further, we introduced middle school sports a few years ago to great success. I think they've been offered for free. I think going from 0 to 75 to me I would prefer a $50 fee. I think it's more reasonable. Any further discussion on that?
Can I
amendment?
Can I ask Ethan and Superintendent what kind of impact would that have on numbers? And can I ask too, like, so for middle school sports, I know we do a couple different seasons. So like, is it just one $75 fee and you can play cross country, or is it for each sport? I think we have cross country, track, and I think field hockey.
Field
Yeah?
hockey, yeah, and track.
And track and cross country.
Yes. And volleyball.
And volleyball? Oh, cool.
I was working under the assumption that it would be per registration, so not like a flat rate.
Okay.
But that would really be up to the committee if that was a direction you wanted to go in.
So, Mary, you're saying you...
I was asking if it, because it just said athletics, so if you were paying $75 and you could, that would take care of your fee for any of the sports you did that year, or are you paying $75 per sport? That's what I was asking.
Per sport.
Per sport.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yep.
I guess I'd like to withdraw my motion then.
No, you don't have to withdraw it.
No, because I think.
You don't have to withdraw it, because she made a different motion anyway.
We can just vote on the amendment.
We can just vote on that.
Yeah.
I think $50 if you were doing it per sport.
Yeah, that changes mine too. If it was 75 for
Yeah.
a flat fee for middle school kids, then I would say yes. But if it's 50 if it's per sport, then I would say.
And I think we should cap
Let's
it.
go with a little number, yeah.
So on the spreadsheet, it says cross-country, field hockey, and outdoor track. Doesn't say anything about volleyball.
And is that just girls volleyball, or is that?
Oh, do we not?
Okay, so we're going to assume it's cross-country, field hockey, and outdoor
Make a
track.
motion to start a volleyball middle school program.
Volleyball
Instant
club.
creation.
I'm sorry.
And it's, yeah.
Gaga ball.
Okay, and, all right, so the amendment being proposed, which you can vote for it too, is to reduce the 75 to 50, and we just vote on the amendment. So any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye.
Yeah.
Okay, so the amendment passes. So the new motion, as amended, is to vote on the athletic fee schedule with a $50 fee for middle school per sport. Any further discussion on the motion at large? Member Yell, are you clear with what we're voting on?
We're going to take a third vote, right? Are you voting on?
A second vote. This is the same, this is the original vote.
We voted on the change.
You have to vote for the amendment first.
I have the amendment,
Yeah.
I'll start with that part.
Yep.
And now we're going to vote on the whole
So now we're
thing.
going to vote on the larger.
With
yeah,
the amended
Yeah.
Okay.
middle school fee.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the vice chair votes aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you guys for all the extra effort, and thanks everybody for the good discussion.
Just a side question, are we looking at any other middle school sports to possibly add?
I guess we are looking at volleyball.
Besides volleyball?
That's a
I
fair
was
point.
just curious, I
So-
mean, we have track, and we have cross country, which is great, and those numbers are awesome. I think the field hockey numbers are great, but that's just, from my understanding, just girls, so I was just curious if we were looking to add.
Yeah, I
anything
think
else.
we're always, I think,
I'd be curious what like other schools are doing, like,
yeah,
I know the Catholic schools
there's
do
middle school
basketball.
basketball, yeah.
Yeah, I know all the Catholic schools do that, that's a
Right.
big deal.
We have there's a pretty robust basketball league, right? So already,
Like youth leagues, but that's for any sport, like
Right.
whether it's club or.
Right.
or
Well, the
there is
Newburyport, the
basketball.
MBVA, I think because it has the in-town league, makes it kind of more like a rec league than,
Sure,
Yeah.
okay.
But I think and they have that for girls.
I'm not advocating for a particular sport,
No,
I was just
right.
curious.
It's
if
not
you
the
think
same
they're
for
doing
girls,
anything.
because
But that's
girls
something-
just travel because they don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's something we could have Principal Marcos look at, because there is middle school leagues with different sports. And I
Yeah.
know basketball is
Yeah, yeah.
one of them. where
Yeah, basketball's
it's not like citywide, it's just the school.
Yep.
You know, like Newburyport would play Masco in 8th grade basketball or whatever.
Or it could be like wrestling or something, I mean, I don't know, like just something different that might like
I
tap
think
into
so.
a bunch of different kids. I know there's a youth wrestling thing going, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
I mean, we
wondering.
already do
I
this.
think it would be interesting to
ski
see what
program.
middle schools and the KPN League, what sports they're offering.
Yeah.
Just to even have
Yeah.
a discussion
See
of
if there's any.
potential expanding our program down the road.
Well, the girls' golf edition got me thinking, not necessarily for middle school per se, but I would project that there'll be, within a certain number of years, some interest and proposals for flag football on both the girls and boys side coming into play.
I also think that it's, at middle school level, it'd be great even if it isn't inter-school, it's just within the school itself, more intramural.
Right.
And then that decreases transportation costs.
Yes.
Yeah. It's great.
I would agree.
All right, lots
All
of
right.
opinions for you tonight. Okay.
Yes, Mrs. Young.
I'm sorry, but I need further clarification. So, first you voted to accept the change.
No, we didn't vote. We made a motion to accept the change.
And within,
I thought that
no, we
I'm
made the
sorry.
motion and then it was,
made the motion and said they wanted to agree to that.
Yes.
And then you amended.
so we didn't vote on that, so we just opened it up. And then from that, we made an amendment. And then we voted on that amendment, and then we voted on the whole thing with the amendment.
Yeah, so there are just two votes that you need to document. One is on the amendment and one is on the broader motion. Okay, good. That was, we don't usually do that, so I get that you are confused. All right. And Delaney's like, guys, would you just move on? Okay, so next item is the acceptance of the Newburyport Bank Scholarship Funds.
Yes, so the district was presented with a scholarship donation from the Newburyport Bank for $10,000 to be given to 5 students at $2,000 each. Since the funds were turned over to the district, it requires a school committee acceptance.
And the policy to reference when you're making your motion is
KCD.
policy KCD.
Instead of,
Oh, is that?
I cheated.
I was like, wow, Mayor, I'm
It says
impressed.
it right there.
Actually, the motion's
been
all-
around. He knows.
motion's all nicely written out on the screen for
It's
you.
beautiful.
So I make a motion to accept, under policy KCD, the $10,000 restricted scholarship donation from the Newport Bank.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Member Ricky, you good?
Yeah, I'm amazed by the scholarships,
Yeah,
the amount of scholarships we have in this community.
Awesome.
yeah, same.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the vice chair votes aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the confirmation of the Traffic Circulation Advisory Committee. We had previously approved the formation of this advisory committee, and I think we're just looking to confirm membership. I believe at this point, so Member Ricky will chair it. Member Aramo has expressed interest in being a participant. I have expressed interest in being a participant. Mayor has indicated he will also serve on it, and he talked to the,
Well, if there's going to be 4 people on it, then I won't serve
oh,
on
right,
it.
yeah,
right?
good point, yeah.
But I was willing to do that. I had, we're going to have one of our officers in the police department serve. I think Felidi is his name. And then I think that you were looking for some other city employee. I'm trying not to overburden some of my employees a little bit, which is why I'd be willing to serve on it.
I think having the police there, I just, I think we can also communicate via you.
Well, that's what I
via
said
through
too,
you.
like if there was a certain meeting that you wanted somebody from DPS on because we were looking for traffic calming measures in like this spot or something like
Right.
that, I'd be happy to bring people there. I just didn't want to commit.
A staff person.
Another staff person for it, that's all.
Okay, yeah, because we had proposed maybe a member of the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee or police and DPS, but I think if you would prefer to just, for now, have a police representative, are you comfortable with that, Member
Absolutely.
Ricky? And then we can communicate with you, and if there's
That'd be
need
great.
to have people involved.
Yep.
And then on your
Schools,
side?
yep, we'll have Principal Marcos, we'll have administrator from the Mullen, either Miss Rossi or Miss CP. James, also wanted James McSweeney on there,
Awesome.
and then possibly myself.
Okay, I think that sounds great.
Fantastic.
So you can go ahead and work on scheduling that first meeting.
Okay.
And I think, we don't need to vote, but I have heard from a member of the Safe Routes to School, statewide Safe Routes to School program, who is interested in doing like a walk-around audit. Don't know if it's going to get scheduled in time, but like we have 1 week, barely 1 week left of school. So it would have to happen next week.
I'll make
All
time
right.
for that.
Okay, so maybe I'll I'll ask her when she wants to do it and coordinate with you, and then if, it can be just open to others. I mean, if others can't make it, it's fine. She'll do her observations, and then she'll send it to the group, so it's
Any
not.
day but Thursday.
Okay, any day but Thursday, got it.
Field day.
Yes, that's right. Well, and then Friday is Juneteenth, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay. We'll see if it happens. All right, great. Well, thank you, Member Ricky, for leading that up. Next item is the updates from the subcommittee. We'll start with Mr. Boger.
We have one last meeting on, let's see, the 18th, sorry. Before our last meeting on the 24th. No other updates.
Okay, we can talk about we have the budget meeting tomorrow night, so with the city council, not that that's a FinCom thing, but,
Yep.
so if any
That's what
members are planning to
mentioned for
attend,
sure.
yeah, it would be great. We can talk about that also under superintendent's report, but, yeah, did you have?
No, I was just.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, the superintendent might be getting to this. Were you going to mention the updated proposals that you had, that you brought
Yeah,
to
I
our
think
attention?
that's part of
this morning?
your report, right?
Proposals for?
Well, for the $123,000.
Oh, yeah. That's part of the budget
Yes.
It's budget related, so.
Budget related
And we'll
stuff.
talk more about the budget items in a second as well. But, okay. Ms. Shaw?
So the policy subcommittee will take place on Monday, the 22nd of June at 6:30 at Central Office Conference Room, where we're looking at the different policies regarding AI. And that's happening after the AI ad hoc meeting, which is the next week.
Next week.
Great.
Yeah.
Only glitch in that,
Yeah, we got a glitch?
not necessarily, but our next meeting for the school committee is the same night as the 24th, is the same night as the,
We have like a
Capsule.
event happening, yeah, time capsule event at City Hall. That's the same time. But
so you were going to just raise if we wanted to reschedule. But
Yeah.
you're feeling, I mean, I don't know how many other members want to go to the, time capsule is kind of cool, but what time is that event?
I think that starts at 5:30.
Oh,
It's like a 5:30 to 7:30. But like I said, I might miss it, but like if there are others that would.
because the idea was if we wanted to reschedule, and when we reschedule to Monday, how important do people feel about going to the time capsule? No offense to the mayor.
Or if you bought tickets to the longest table event, which is also happening that day earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you were the first, the first
If
10
you were one of
minutes.
the people in the 13 minutes
Oh, I
that
think
tickets were
unfortunately,
available.
I didn't even put that together. I didn't buy the tickets, I was just.
I mean, honestly, this is the first time we're doing this time capsule event.
Yeah.
As long as I'm there at the beginning, if people want to keep it, and then I can certainly
Might come a little late.
leave that event. That's
Okay,
fine.
okay. All right, well then no effect on your policy meeting, we're going to keep the meeting on the 24th.
Okay.
I might come for, if
Put
it starts at
everything
5:30,
in
I might
I
come
might
for the
come
first
for-
part too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, teaching and learning, Member Higgins is dealing with the child. Member Shaw, any updates on CPAC?
The last meeting was on May 13th. I think that was
Okay.
after our, I don't know, somewhere in between school committee meetings, and there was regarding school supports in terms of school counselors, school social workers, et cetera.
Okay.
So there were presentations by the various individuals.
Do you know when the next one is?
I think they're done for the year.
Okay.
So it's a TBD.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, teaching and learning met today.
Yeah, I was-
and
Oh,
what
thank
we-
you.
yeah,
I'm
it was a
sorry.
good-
That's right.
No, it was a good meeting and a lot of updates on the school improvement plans, and the principals got to discuss successes and challenges.
Great. Thank you. You guys have any more to share on that?
No, it was just, they just each went through what they, the successes of the year, the things they focused on, the goals that they're working on. It was just a good conversation to hear, where they, how they feel like the year has gone, and I thought, it was good.
Great. Awesome.
And NEF, we'll meet again on June 17th. our last meeting. This is a really good conversation about where all their spending has gone over the year, and just a long list of National Honor Society, Investment Club, the Music Festival, the Ed Awards were last night, good golf tournament, good mahjong, like just all good stuff.
Good, awesome. Thank you.
Superintendent did a great job at the awards last night.
Oh, thank you, man.
Sun beating down.
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was at the deck.
Oh, it was in the deck.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, they passed the $6 million.
$6 million, yeah. Which I didn't, they made a big deal when they passed 5, but like,
Right.
they just kind of mentioned that they passed 6,
Right.
so it's like no hoopla, but
Right. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for those updates. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
All right. So we had a great graduation. This is Charlotte Cayley. It was and you all were there. It was just I think just a great day for the graduates. Great day for class of 2026. The weather held up, and it was just an awesome day for our school community. In my superintendent's report, I also put in the packet the Coast Guard JROTC site visit. So here we're looking at establishing a JROTC program with the Coast Guard. So they came, they visited the site, they walked the school with Mr. Wolf and Mr. McSweeney, and they're going to get back to us on the next steps. We're hopeful that we would be chosen for this program. It would be the second program in Massachusetts, and there's only 10 programs around the country. And it just makes sense as we are the birthplace of the Coast Guard. So, and we have a Coast Guard station right downtown there. So we're really excited about this. This would be part, if they would move forward with Newburyport, this would be part of our budget next year. So basically we cost share with the Coast Guard. So we pay half the salary of the there'd be two representatives running the program. So that's, I think, something very exciting. We proposed this, I think, like 3 or 4 years ago, and they just got back to us now. So, in the packet, we went to the PTO meeting for the living classroom update, the outdoor space, and this is the team that we brought to meet with the parents. So obviously, Dr. Hobbs, Jill Moran, our whole science program. This is a vertical alignment of kind of that hands-on learning, outdoor learning space. And then Jim McSweeney was also there talking, took everyone on a tour. But this is something very exciting, and the PTO is very interested in sponsoring this and supporting this funding. In the packet, we kind of created how this relates to the curriculum, and kind of we gave that overview for the parents, and they voted in favor to move forward with the project. So we're extremely grateful for the PTO, and we're really excited about this. This totally ties into our initiatives and thinking outside the box and getting the kids outside, hands-on learning. It's going to be really exciting. We continue working, so part of us continuing looking to save money, we had a good meeting with CREST Director Bob Joppa, and working with them and seeing if we can cost share some of the transportation. They're opening up, they're just kind of piloting a program, and we met with us and would be very interested in working with them and pilot some of these different opportunities. If we could cost share some of these routes, it would be very beneficial to the district in saving money. So that's ongoing conversations, and we're looking to at least try a few of those runs next year to see how it goes. I also attended a school safety and violent event incident management workshop. So this was a great program where it brought educators, police, fire, emergency response, and really utilizing different scenarios where we all work together. And it was so, I just think it was just a great way of working with the administration and school personnel along with the police and fire, utilizing practical scenarios, and it's not like running around a building and all that type of stuff. It was really beneficial to the point where I do plan on utilizing these activities and then also working with the National Center for Integrated Emergency Response, having a facilitator as part of our summer retreat. We'll have 2 days of academics and data retreat, but we're also going to have 1 day right before the start of school of emergency readiness. And this is where we'd like to kind of work with the police, the fire, and the schools. The one big piece that we actually had to plan out and work through problem solving is a reunification as part of emergency management, and what that actually looks like versus what's in the plan. So I just think it was just a good experience, for myself and other administrators that were with me and other superintendents of really putting your action plan in, under stress and see how that really looks. So it was a good workshop, and I'm glad I attended. The next piece is the district budget and operations update. And so what we also put in the packet, because we wanted to work, obviously the school committee is the governing body of the school department. So what we did receive some questions from council, and working with the vice chair and the mayor, we kind of put together, we felt we should put together kind of an FAQ of some of those questions and concerns. So I just want to credit our team, obviously Ethan Manning, Lisa Furlong, Pam, myself, Brad, and we kind of just put together this FAQ. I think it's very comprehensive and it's very factual of kind of a lot of those questions that were asked. So I did put that in your packet so you could review. There's also live links that will take people to different data points. And the goal is for tomorrow night, if we were going to be asked these type of questions, we have some factual information that we can provide council. So that's also in your packet. And then I know Mr. Manning and Finance Director Amy Sarro, they had a meeting and just looking at the city finances and kind of, I think, where everything is right now. And I still think it's a moving target with the budget, I think for all of us. So these were just some of the highlights that came out of their meeting. And it's positive news in the sense of when anytime you receive more money than you think, I think that's always a good thing versus the opposite. And the way, I just think with the way this whole year has been with finances and what comes out of Washington from 1 week to the next, we were really nervous, I think, this year of losing funds mid-year. But that did not happen, and kind of we're in this spot. And so those are just some of the different areas: the unrestricted free aid, the Medicaid, the Essex North Shore enrollment, along with the Whittier projections. All of those come in a little bit lower, which is positive for the schools and obviously the city. So with these figures, working on the city side, looking to close that $124,000 gap. Hopefully, continue to explore collaborative solutions. As we go through the process, and I think tomorrow night, working with City Council, we'll have some maybe better ideas. They won't make any decisions or anything, but there'll be a conversation of kind of what they're thinking and kind of where we're landing right now.
Thank you. Very comprehensive superintendent's report this time.
Oh, thank
we
you.
haven't met in a little bit, I know. Mayor, did you want
to keep us guessing?
I know.
Some weeks it's really quick.
Mayor, did you want to follow up on any of these ideas that were shared with the finance director after? I don't know if you've had a chance to.
Yeah, no, but I would say if people could make it tomorrow night, I would say make it. I have a Essex County thing I have to go to, but I do plan on being at the second half of it. You know, I don't think we went into too big a detail, but it was quite a bit of questions that got sent to the superintendent.
Oh, we went through a lot of detail. Would you
Yes.
scan down to?
Oh, yes.
So I agree with you, Mayor. We didn't like go line by line, but I do want to just say, I think we went above and beyond in our response, and I really credit staff. I think hopefully this benefits us in the long term. There's very detailed responses to some of these questions. There's also keep going.
I know.
There's also some links,
Here it is.
like the superintendent mentioned. You know, I think a lot of this detail was already in the budget book and was already discussed in our many conversations, and also probably was easily findable in some of our existing FAQs. So I appreciate the effort that went in here. I think it's very transparent. It gets to a level of detail that honestly, I'd be surprised if other departments are able to do this, right? I mean, it's just an investment of energy that, you know, as a school district, we're able to benefit from, because this is one of our primary focuses, is the budget.
Right. And I would agree, because we started our budget process in October.
Yep.
With multiple iterations, with feedback from the school committee, which helps us prepare better budget documents, more transparency. So although this was a lot of work, we were actually just pulling together a lot of the information that we've already presented to you all. And if you we go through a lot of the different areas, the budget development, you know, and it's about 10 pages. We talk about staffing, enrollment ratios, and it's all here, as I said, with the live links. We talk about classroom size, what's actually in the classroom, and not taking the overall staff and dividing it by the students, where you have, the classes of 10. If we had classes of 10, I think our teachers would be extremely happy with that, so would we. But these are the actual classroom sizes. And so we try to bring clarity there, because when you look at FTEs, it's different. So we have the breakdown of the classes, and then we kind of even articulate through that. If you look at these classes and you take one teacher away, you change the class size from 20 to 25 to 26 in a class. And when that's just with one teacher reduction. And then when you look at, and I know the measurements, I think, of every classroom in the district since COVID, but we couldn't even get 25 desks in the Mullen 4th or 5th grade. Even if you wanted to put 25 kids in those classes, you can't fit them. So we kind of went through all of that. We talked about special education cost drivers. And just for our families, I just want to reiterate that our children are the #1 priority of us. And when we talk about special educations, we're talking about the funding formula that has not been fixed, and the state legislators, and they just kick the can down the road. So it has nothing to do with the support of the children of Newburyport families. It's really highlighting the state ignoring the financial situation that's happening to public education, you know, and that's kind of the topic there. So we talk about all of that in here. We talk about private residential tuition, extraordinary relief. So we kind of give a great overview of special education, talk about funding sources. We break down, obviously, all of our funding source, school choice, athletic revolving. And I do, you know, as you scroll through this and you take a look, it's very detailed, very comprehensive. And the goal of this is to provide factual information for people to have a discussion and kind of look at the school operational budget. But as I was saying, this information is pulled together from our conversations at the school committee level since October. So there must have been at least a dozen budget presentations. So that's in your packet. And then I would just take guidance from you all on how you want, you know, if you want this delivered.
Yeah, so this in part is driven by a response from a specific city councilor. Apparently there's a spreadsheet with questions that none of us have access to. Haven't seen it. I asked Councilor Sharif.
Someone can send it to you. Yeah, I mean, we just created that. I don't know if we did, but I think that's living in the finance office, and
Okay.
that was. And I know Sean Fenn has been trying to aggregate the data a little
Okay.
bit, but
If there's
it's
a
quite-
reason
quite
for
a bit of
us to
questions.
look at it that has any additional school
I don't think so. I mean, I
questions
think the squad, because we were sent those school questions too,
Yeah.
so I think they were just added to the overall list, but it's
Okay.
it's a pretty extensive list.
on it? Yeah, I can imagine. So I think, we, in the recognition of the 35 questions we were sent specifically about the schools, even though I think, as I communicated in an email, I think we've already covered a lot of these topics, and that it really is the school committee's job to do this. We recognize there are new members on the school committee, on the city council, and, as always, we want to be transparent, and, I appreciate that staff went to this level of effort. I hope we don't have to continue to do that every year. I hope that there's going to be a lot of education through this process, because again, I think we have a lot of information available on the finance and budget sections of our district site. And again, as we all know, we've talked about this many times. So I would just encourage you, if you are going tomorrow night, I would encourage you to come, but also take a look at this. I would suggest, and I think the superintendent was hoping to send this out to the city council tomorrow morning as its own document. I didn't know if anybody had objections or any other guidance on that.
No objections. I would just agree with what you were saying in the sense that for historical context, one of the reasons that a subcommittee, well, one of the reasons, there are several, but that the communication subcommittee was created was to sort of facilitate discussions between the city council and the school committee, and in instances that was successful. And I just think it is worth reiterating, maybe picking up some of those discussions, meaning our relationship with them is worth reiterating. My personal, I can't speak for others, is that regardless of how people interpret their role, and counselors interpret their role differently, school committee members interpret their role differently, and that's all fine and good, and I support that, and there were a lot of legitimate and very rational and reasonable questions, and happy to answer those. I don't think it's reasonable to ask staff in such a short period of time before the budget presentations, particularly in light of them working on graduation and so forth. So I think we need to continue to send that message that we can answer questions, or the staff can answer questions, but we need to figure out a way to do it in a reasonable way within a reasonable time.
I will say that, because this is happening in all departments, it's not just the schools, so I will say that I really appreciated, Counselor Zeed, who is the chair of Budget and Finance, and President Shan both mentioned, this is like 2 hearings ago now, about trying to keep the questions at least budget focused, because that was another issue we were running into. And I've known a lot of counselors over the years that can really turn anything into a budget thing. Like, oh no, I'm asking you about Whittier because we pay for Whittier, right? So I think they really are trying to focus the conversations. Again, that's a lot of questions to ask, a week before, you're coming in. So I do think they're trying. It's a lot of new counselors. We knew there was going to be a lot of good questions. And the hearings have been productive. But you're right. That's what I had a problem with. Is now like you're putting an extra workload on a department head who can't do their day job because now they're answering questions that probably will be asked again in a public setting, right? So I think this year it's a lot. There's a lot of things going on this year. We've got a new finance director at the city level. We've got a new school business manager at the school level. We've got 6 new counselors who have never been through this process before, not really probably even followed the process before, right? So I think there's a lot of just like learning.
Yeah.
I will say the conversations have been great. If you followed last year's budget process at all, that was a pretty contentious and pretty miserable experience for everybody. So at least I think the questions are coming from a good place. It's just they just don't understand a lot what's going on in the city, so they're trying to get some understanding. So, but yeah, it's a lot. So I do think we as a body, though, should continue to advocate for schools, and that we're all here for a reason, and that's why we're here. Otherwise, it would just go to the city council, right? So, and at the end of the day, that number is just going to the city council, right? They're not getting the level of detail like they are in the other departments, and I still think that's a problem for some. You just mentioned the communication subcommittee. I really would like to see, and we plan on doing at the city level, a lot of post budget meetings around like, already starting to prepare for next year. What did we learn from this year? What can we do better? We're actually going to do another, we kind of did that budget hearing with City Council for the first time in April. That was something I've been asking for a long time. We're actually going to do a post-budget one of those as well, to just get their kind of feedback of what they would maybe like to see next year. But I think at least quarterly, if we could get the Budget and Finance Committee and the FinCom Committee to have a check-in on the budget and where things are trending, if we can get that just as be an established thing, so whether that's 3 or 4 times a year, I think that would be a good vehicle we're going to kind of do something similar on a regular basis with these meetings with departments, but that, I think that's just a natural, having those 2 committees talk at least, because that's really all they care about. They really just want to know about the budget implications, and if there's something coming their way, they just want to have a heads up about it. So if we're talking about school choice, if we're talking about utilities, if we're talking about costs that the schools are facing this year, if that's a conversation it's having all year, I think that would probably go a long way with
No, that's brilliant. It makes a lot of sense. And it occurred to me that we had the one meeting which can be very productive in the spring or close to the spring. And sometimes it generates more questions than it answers.
Right.
So having it quarterly makes a lot of sense.
I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about.
Or
at least
maybe
twice a
2
year.
instead of 1 or
At
something.
least twice a year. Well, again, I do want to just thank the staff for this effort. I will push back if we continue to get these kind of questions and say, no, we're not doing this every year. But I think it's a good first, for those who are new to the council, and we have a number of them, I think it's helpful. We're not trying to outshine other departments either. But we're a different situation, and again, recognizing all the effort that goes into our multiple discussions and so forth. So, okay, so tomorrow night, I'll be there, and hopefully, if others want to attend, that's great.
In the chamber?
Yeah.
It is in the chambers, and I believe it's at 6.
6
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah. And it's usually a conversational, the chair,
Yeah, they try to
Councilor
keep.
Seed will chair it and lead the discussion. But
Yeah, they've been trying to keep them 2 hours. Some of them have gone over that. This, I think Whittier will be there as well, right? Maureen Lynch will talk about the Whittier. So they'll have an agenda that they go through. Superintendent Gallagher will get up and give a little spiel on where we are as a district, I guess, and then then they'll open it up to the questions. And who knows how many councils will be there? The Finance Committee, Subcommittee, Budget and Finance Committee will be there, and then there'll probably be a couple other councils attending. But I don't think all of them have attended any of one hearing.
we, and just as a reminder, the city council can cut the budget, but they can't increase it. So the conversations about increasing the budget would be between the mayor and the staff. But ultimately, you have up until the end of your deadline if you wanted to revise
June 30th,
your budget in
11:59.
the other direction. Okay. Any further questions for the superintendent or follow-up? Okay. Any new business?
You want to talk about Bubblicious?
It's a little late, delicious.
It's late, so I did have a couple things I wanted to say, but I had a really terrible Whittier meeting today,
Oh,
which
no.
we're meeting again on the 25th. So I guess I'll just tell you where we're at with Whittier. So Whittier right now is that we've been a part of this RAC group, so this Regional Agreement Amendment Committee. I think we have, after today, I think we have at least one more meeting or 2 meetings. It might just be one more meeting. And so our charge was to come up with recommended amendments that we would send on to the Whittier School Committee. So we've been meeting a lot, and I don't know if we've really even gotten anywhere. What's basically happening is, and we've got some agreements through, I do think we've come to some agreements on small changes to the agreement, but the biggest elephant in the room that's just hung out there is this capital cost allocation. So that finally came up today for a vote. And I don't know, my opinion of it, I think Haverhill is just kind of keeping holding everyone hostage as far as this goes. We were told, so why we're doing this is that because we're in the MSBA program, we didn't get pulled out of that. But the MSBA was very clear that for Whittier to stay in the program, you have to have a new regional agreement. So by June of 2027, we have to have a new regional agreement in place. So after the next meeting on the 25th, we'll have to send that forward. But the MSBA is voting on the 24th on accepting us into the feasibility study stage. So today was like kind of the meeting where Maureen Lynch, as superintendent of Whittier, wanted to know, I need to be able to go and stand in front of them on the 24th and say, are we in a good place? Is this going to move forward? And there were definitely times today that we thought that answer was no. I kind of spoke up at the end. I was like, no, I think we all believe in this project, but like, if you can, I can't tell you that we're going to solve this regional agreement. So I would say yes, tell them we would like to keep moving forward with this. The $2.5 million that they're going to need for this feasibility study is coming partly from Northern Essex and partly from Whittier. So it's not going to be any additional funds asked by the communities, which at one time it was, but then Whittier said no, we can cover the rest. That's the rest that's needed. So that's a good thing. If they decided to have pulled that letter of interest on the 24th, then they would have probably taken that $2.5 million and put some improvements into the current building, because that would have just probably, we would have started from square one with the MSBA, and again, that's many years to get into that cycle again. So anyway, this is just a long way of saying that I still think the big issues are out there. I think today, when they took a vote on the capital allocation, how would you figure that out? It's what it currently is was one of the options, which obviously we weren't a fan of. I mean, we're paying 12% of the cost, but I think we have 3% of the kids that go to Whittier. Haverhill, on the other hand, has 70% of the kids and only paying 40% of the cost for any kind of capital project. And then there was a model about it takes the number of kids that you have in your high school, which actually would have increased our capital allotment, so that wasn't good. And then most regional agreements in the last 20 years have gone with the student population model, just like we do with Essex Tech. Right? We have so many kids going there, this is what you're going to get assessed. So we took a vote today, and Georgetown wasn't there, but it was eight in favor of the student population, 1 against, which was Haverhill. And then Salisbury decided to vote other, and Neil Harrington, the town manager of Salisbury, wanted to see if he could come up with another hybrid. Now that just tells me that's not going to be a win for Newburyport, right? And unfortunately, you really have to have 100% of people agreeing on this, because what happens now is when that report's finished and compiled, it will be sent back to the Whittier School Committee, and then they will have to either vote or amend what we sent back to them, and then that will go to the 11 cities and towns. But I am pretty confident that if it's a deal that doesn't help Newburyport as far as being fair and equitable and recognizing that I don't know. So that's kind of where we're at.
So when you say it has to be 100% of that group, why is that? So
right now in the regional agreement, without it amended, any change to it any amendment needs to be approved 100% by the 11 communities. So all it takes is one community, which is why I think Haverhill's kind of holding the room hostage, and that's why it's never changed since 1967.
Okay, so that's why you're saying if it's like...
Now, I think the way the regional agreement committee was established was that we decided that if you had 2/3 vote, which we did today for this, then that could be part of the thing that goes forward. But that's not to say that, Mayor Barrett doesn't go back to Haverhill and say, no, I'm not in favor of this. Right. We're going to vote against it. I don't know what happened. So that's why we were kind of stuck today. I think we were trying to solve a problem without really sticking to what we had agreed upon at the beginning. So I don't know how that
Trying to get it to move out of committee.
Yeah.
With a recommendation.
Yeah, but it led to a pretty heated discussion today. That just, I certainly didn't feel good about it. And it's just been a lot of months of kind of the same. Some of the little things that I could report back on, one of the things that was voted on unanimously was having, in this case, either the select board or the mayor be the appointee of school committee members. That was a change. And the most other changes, because most of them were tied to some sort of unanimous vote, a lot of them were changed to 2/3 votes, whether it be operating costs, budgets, issuing debt, those types of things. They moved, or amendments to the regional agreement would need 2/3 vote, which at least gives you some flexibility. So I don't know. So I don't know where we're going to land, but that's just kind of where we are with that.
Who staffs this regional agreement?
So again, all 11 communities are represented.
Who does the logistical?
So the chair of it has been Angus, the town manager of West Newbury, who's
retiring.
He's not retiring. He's leaving West Newbury at the end of July to become the school business manager of Whittier.
Oh my God!
Another weird thing.
What?
That's in the middle of all that. And Mayor Barrett of Haverhill is the vice chair of the committee.
Okay.
So.
Goodness me. All right, well, thanks for that update. Do you have anything else? Any other new business?
No, just, again, I had a great senior week, so just thank you to the
Yes.
staff of Newburyport Public Schools. It was my first year having a graduate, so that was pretty neat to kind of go through that. And I probably should have said this earlier, but God, how lucky would we have someone like Jim Antonelli for 3 years in Newburyport? Just how often do you get a guy with that kind of resume who, lives close by and said, oh yeah, I'll come help you out. And so, again, pretty awesome that we had him for as long as we did. And just hope all of our retirees have a great retirement.
Great. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.